So if you're working all of the time, but you're not where you want to be, then you're probably just like me and you're working on the wrong stuff. And perhaps that was the right stuff at one point in time, but it's no longer the priority and you're still working on it because you've built so many reward loops. In my case, I needed to gain leverage in order to hit my goal of 50K per month. And so to do that, I chose the software path. Obviously, there's many ways you can gain leverage, but I wanted to automate my business. And so in order to do that, I built tons and tons of automations, many of which I've given away completely for free. And so now, this is no longer my constraint. In fact, I've already solved this constraint several levels beyond where I'm at. And how I know this is because I've done 50 plus consulting calls, seeing where other people are, and I know that I've solved that. And so I just keep working on it, and I've been trying to figure out a way to stop myself from working on it. And one of the things that I did is I built a Chrome extension that stops me from working on the business, so building the automations, building the operations, doing that stuff until all of my tasks are done. And so as you can see, this is make.com, for example. It's blocked because I still have tasks to do. And so that was one thing that I tried to do. I tried to stop myself from building these things. But what ended up happening is I stopped using discretionary effort, and so I would basically do all of these different tasks, but just churn through the tasks, right? Like create the most basic campaign that I could create, send the most basic report, do a really poor job on list building, and all of these tasks, they were just being done poorly so that I can get to the part that I actually enjoy, which is automating the business, building the operations, doing that type of stuff, right? And so what I aim to do in this video is explaining what I'm actually doing right now to turn my weakness. And so my weakness is working in the business, right? To turn my weakness, which is now my constraint, into my obsession over the next few months. And by the way, why this is so important is when we go back to this formula over here, which is the 50K per month, we need inputs and leverage, right? And so in the middle over here, we'll see 0 times 9 billion, whatever, right? Nothing happens, right? You can't multiply 0 with any number and then turn out any more than 0. And so we actually need to put in some work. And so if all I'm doing, even if I'm doing the campaigns, but all of them are really poorly done and no effort, none of that, it's not going to work, right? I may have all of the systems automated, but I need to actually put in some effort. And so the perfect ratio is that we're putting in a lot of input and we're using a lot of leverage, and that's how we hit the goal. Okay, so that's why the constraint exists. That's why it's important. Let's get to some of the prioritization things, and then we'll get back to that. And so Alex Ramosi actually came up with this in one of his videos, where he said that in his businesses, they typically focus on one business constraint until it's completed, and then once it's completed, they move on to the next. He never actually gave these numbers over here, like the 25%, 70%, but I figured, like, if you're running a business, you can't just shut off an entire department and then just do one thing, because that department's going to suffer. So I would probably say that they're going to be maintaining the other departments. And so I just said it's probably 70%, 30, 30, 30, right? If those were the 5 prioritizations, right? And so in year 1, I actually did this by mistake, where I said I need to figure out a way to gain leverage. If I want to hit 50K per month, I need leverage. And as you can see, these are the 2 things, right? I need inputs and I need leverage. And so in order for me to gain leverage, I needed to learn how to do automations. And so one thing that I did, I learned and I improved the skills. I built the things. I did the automations. I did the volume, right? And then I also built my brand in addition to doing that stuff. So giving away these automations completely for free, like these are things that I've already built. These are things that I'm already using within my internal agency. I just give them away to people for free. They can leverage them. Also filming videos for Smart Lead and doing all of these different things. I can do the work that I'm actually doing already, but also build my brand simultaneously as I'm building these automations. I also did service delivery, because all of the automations that I'm building, I'm using them to do a better job with service delivery. And so, like, we see all of these tasks over here. These are helping me do service delivery and making it easier for me to deliver good results for clients. And so I did this by mistake. I put 70% of all of my effort on this whole automations idea, and I basically just did everything focused in that direction. But then, now I need to make a transition. I need to focus on my new constraint. And I'd realized that I can't spend all the time on automations, and so I went into the old way of prioritization. So I started doing some sales, started doing some marketing, started doing some service delivery operations. I split all of these things up, and I had my org chart created like this, where we had Noel in marketing, Noel in sales, Noel in service. But obviously that didn't work, and the core reason for that is there was a lot of task switching. So I needed to do sales, I needed to do marketing, and it was just like I was getting overwhelmed because it's just me, right? And so the solution that I implemented was automated and systemized sales and marketing. And this is what my new org chart looks like. I actually discussed this in the previous One to World session, episode number 9, I believe. You can actually go there and see that. And so what it is now is I funnel all of my effort into service. And so in service, because we are a lead gen agency, we can actually generate sales deals for ourselves. And so we generate the sales deals. And then all of the whole sales and marketing process is systemized so that we don't actually need to spend too much time in there. And so we generate the deals, put people through a systemized / automated process. I still obviously take the sales calls, but it's a lot more fluid. And then the main thing that I'm trying to accomplish here is doing the tasks. And so that's why you could see here that we've got these tasks. So these are like the big thing, just getting through these tasks. This is the big thing. But then we go into the other problem, which I did mention, is that we have no discretionary effort. And so this is where the new problem comes into play. There's no discretionary effort. And so I can block off everything. I can stop myself from doing anything other than these tasks, but I'm never going to really genuinely try to excel at these tasks because I'm just trying to get it out of the way, right? And so now we go back into what we had been able to accomplish with regards to automating the business, building 42 active automations, 50 plus consulting calls, 100 plus YouTube videos, building automations for the company and giving them away for free. And what I've realized is that by mistake, and of course, this was by mistake, like it's completely accident. I just did it by mistake. By mistake, I built tons and tons and tons of reward loops that made me addicted to working on the business. I didn't realize that. And so I just kept trying to figure out a way to do these tasks and do them at a good level, rather than looking back at the habits that allowed me to solve something that I've already solved. And what those were is just making it all encompassing. And that's why I use this word obsession, right? Obsessive. Because it's like, if you can make your weakness, your constraint, all encompassing, which also comes back to the prioritization, if it's 70% of everything that you do is focused on that one constraint, you have no choice but to be all encompassing, obsessive about that specific one priority, right? And so when I look back at this, everything that I was doing, the people that I was connecting with in the consulting calls, the videos that I was making, the actual things that I was building, how I was spending my time, money, energy, all of that was related to how do I gain leverage by automating the business. And as an output of that, I automated the business, and like I said, several levels beyond what I actually need. And this was tons and tons and tons of discretionary effort. Like, nobody just goes out and builds 100 automations completely for free without wanting to use discretionary effort. And for the longest time, I had no desire to do anything with this. And to be honest, I still don't. But that's just what discretionary effort can afford you. It can give you so much bandwidth to do so many things. And in my case, I can actually use that discretionary effort to deliver great results for clients, right? Creating campaigns, getting more leads. And actually, I'm getting ahead of myself. So discretionary effort, let's keep that top of mind. Now, we go back to this whole idea of prioritization. And as I had mentioned, there's sales, marketing, service delivery, operations. Now, if we're going to say that the new prioritization is going to be 70% service delivery because sales and marketing are automated / systematized, then we can actually hone in even further on service delivery. What is the one thing that is in service delivery that delivers 80% of the results? And when looking at all of the tasks, I would say the one big thing in service delivery is creating campaigns. Is creating campaigns. And so what creating campaigns allows us to do is at the very beginning, when you're creating a campaign, you have to determine where the lists come from. Okay, so it helps us build the lists. When we build more campaigns, better campaigns, we are able to get better reply rates for the different personas. And so we get even more leads. And we have to contact less people. We also save money on the fact that we're not having to build massive campaigns, right? Next up, we can use the campaigns that we're creating to create content. So think of someone like Eric Noel, for example, who showcases all of his clay tables and does all of those different things. We can use campaigns to generate better results for ourselves, campaigns to generate better results for clients, campaigns to learn, become better, more skilled. And so when I thought about service delivery and I think about that same prioritization ratio, I think that this is probably the one thing. And so now comes to the conclusion of this, which is making your weakness. So the first thing is you need to identify what your weakness is. In my case, my weakness is service delivery, and then more specifically, creating campaigns. So that's my weakness. And then the next part is making it your obsession. And so to make it your obsession, you literally just analyze anything else that you've been obsessed with and then look at all of the common factors. And so for myself, it's just create take the rewarding activities and then just put them in the constraint. And so I'm going to start creating a lot more content on specifically creating campaigns, right? That was one of the things that was helpful, like creating 100 YouTube videos. I don't know what's going on with this. So creating 100 YouTube videos, right? That was one thing, right? Building 100 automations for Afonto. So I can just crank out a bunch of campaigns similar to how I created the automations, just create the campaigns in a similar fashion to learn, to test hypotheses, to satisfy my curiosity. I'm curious, how would a one-line email work? How would a two-line email work? What if I use this CTA rather than this CTA, right? So there's so many different combinations that you can actually use to satisfy your curiosity. And in my case, I was curious, like, how the hell do I build a Chrome extension? I satisfied that curiosity by actually building a Chrome extension, and this thing is sick. Like, I use it all the time, right? It's so good. I satisfied that curiosity. And so, like, how could I use image personalization within campaigns to make it even more personalized in a very unique way? That type of stuff, right? So we can do that. We can even maybe start another type of project like this where we give away templates for free, or we do something for the community, right? Just like tying all of these different reward loops that we know work, that we've used before, to satisfy the one thing that we need to solve, which is our constraint. And so that is the conclusion of this video. It's if you're struggling to do something, but actually no, we go back to the very top over here. If you're working all of the time, but you're not where you want to be, then you're working on the wrong stuff. However, you are still working on something, right? You are still working on something. And so what you can do is you can look at why you work on that thing. What are the reward loops that are making you work on that thing? Like, what is it about that's making you work on it all the time? And then just borrow those reward loops. Borrow those and put it into where you should be actually working. And so what I'm doing, I'm just borrowing all the stuff that I do for the automations and then just moving it over to creating campaigns, because I believe that that's my constraint right now. And so hope this was helpful. In my case, this is how I have structured it. We remain consistent with operations, marketing, sales, service, remain consistent in all of those. But now we just reduce the amount of content that we create for operations, and then we increase the amount of content that we create for service. And then just like in general, we're trying to focus a little bit more on that service side of things. Okay, that's it for me. Have a good day.